Hello, real ladies. I am joined today with Nancy Brown. She is a sister of a friend of mine, a sister of a friend of mine. And so we became acquainted through her sister, Nikki. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to introduce her according to my limited knowledge and just kind of like Facebook acquaintance with her. And if I say something not correct, I would really like to know, because that's the only way that I'm going to learn if I need to change how I'm speaking about special needs or disabilities. So, from what I know about Nancy Brown, she has a son who has cerebral palsy and mental disabilities that he's like the age, he's 15, 14?
He's going to be 15.
He's almost 15, but he's more like a toddler mentally, right? He's into the Peppa Pig, the Paw Patrol,
yeah,
stuff like that.
But then he's also 15 and he likes poop and fart and gross stuff.
So does my toddler anymore.
Exactly.
But one of the things about Nancy is, Tyler, he is growing at the rate of a teenager. He is maturing and growing, and a lot of his body parts are not growing. Like his legs are not, because of the cerebral palsy, they're not helping him walk well. So he's just gone through another surgery. He's been through a lot of surgeries. She can give you the details of how many in a minute, but he just went through another surgery. She was just telling me that his legs are really like chicken legs right now, just because it has no muscle. So last year they were able to get a van that accommodated him to where the chair would come down and he could sit in the chair. I know that you've had beef with people parking in the wrong parts of parking lots. I would like to know about that in special handicap spots that really make it difficult for you. What else? Oh, she is living in Arizona because Utah does not have the same help that she could get in Arizona. So although she is a single mom doing this by herself with the help of state assistance, if she were to move to Utah to be with her family and to have the family support, she would lose all of the state assistance, and that makes it near impossible for her to do that. So she's kind of caught in Arizona because of the good support that she can get for Tyler there. So what would you add to or take away from that?
Okay, well, his body grows at the same rate as a 15-year-old. So it's like he says he caught puberty. So he's well aware of like body changes and things like that. He can read about a third grade level. So
really,
he's not just a toddler. He just enjoys things like Peppa Pig and Paw Patrol and like Nick Jr. stuff. He also watches a really, really crude like YouTube station. So he knows naughty words that did not come from mom. And he knows like phrases that I would prefer he didn't repeat sometimes from that particular show. So his likes and his dislikes make it harder for him in a typical friendship situation.
Yeah.
And so the boys in our church, they like him, but having something to talk about, like he can equate anything to an episode of Daniel Tiger or Barney, and the boys just don't care. So it's harder. But he loves friends and he loves school and he likes to do things like that. So that is kind of how he is. But a weird thing about Tyler is he has a super duper crazy savant-like memory. Okay. Like he can tell you like on episode 10 of Daniel Tiger, his sister Margaret was born.
And so if I message him and say, hey, Tyler, I need to know about potty training, what episode do I need?
Oh, he has lots of potty training tips. Not kidding. So he will be like, he'll tell people, well, I have to go because I have to go potty train.
Oh.
So he's watched, like, while he was getting potty trained, he was much older, obviously, but he would sit for 20-30 minutes in the toilet watching YouTube on potty training.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just weird, and he does it and you get used to it, and so you humor it, and then it's better. On the opposite side of that, he has OCD, and so if he gets fixated on one thing, you're in trouble until it happens. So today is Labor Day, and he's looked forward to Labor Day, according to him, his whole life, because today is a brand new Paw Patrol. So his days go by when it's coming next. Like, it's his birthday month, and he told me yesterday that he was looking forward to his day off on his birthday. And I'm like, where did you get that idea? Like, that
what do you do? I want a day off.
So he'll be in school, and that is his day off. He will go to school.
Oh, okay.
So it's things like that where he gets something in his mind, and that's what he's gonna do. And so you don't ever tell him you're gonna do something until it's set in stone, because I'm not dealing with the in-between. So I just let it go.
Right. And that's a very toddler thing with my toddlers. It is very important to follow through with fixation. So him being 15 and not growing out of that is probably like really.
It's like a toddler magnified by 10, because it's things like, if he sees a commercial on TV for a toy, normally you can redirect a toddler to something else. Tyler obsesses about it, but because he can spell, he'll watch YouTube stations about it. So he'll find a toy he wants, and he'll watch every YouTube on it, and he will go on his iPad and he'll search that toy because he can spell.
Wow.
So it's like he knows everything about it, who made the game. Most of them is board games. He knows who made the game, what company, how much it's going to be, what battery it needs, when it ships, if it's coming out. Like, he watches the Toy Fair from New York on a regular basis. Wow. So he knows what every toy is going to be for the holiday. So, it's like he's got this huge list of games that he wants for Christmas or his birthday, and so you better be well aware of what he wants so you don't get the wrong one.
Holy smokes.
It's exhausting. Some days it's like,
I would say yes.
I'm like, yeah, no, please stop talking. And please, we can only talk about it one time and then we're done. And he does pretty good with it. So along with his cerebral palsy, he's legally blind.
There you
go. He has hydrocephalus. That is a result of his brain injury after birth. So he has a brain bleed, which caused hydrocephalus. So he has a shunt in his brain that drains fluid into his stomach. And he has a seizure disorder, and I think that's give or take most of what it is. So
holy crap. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot. It doesn't fit into those lines at the doctor's office. So
no, he's got his own box.
Yes. And his was a result of being born at 25 weeks.
Yeah.
So he was 25 weeks and 3 days when he was born.
How much NICU time did he have?
He came home the day before his due date, which was December 20th. Wow. His due date was December 24th.
Wow.
And his birthday is in a week. So.
Wow. That puts it into perspective.
Yeah,
that's early.
His birthday's the 21st of September. His due date was December 24th.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So really quickly, in a nutshell, can you tell me, what are things that people say, what are things that show people's naiveness, or things that just do not help you as a mom with a child with special needs? What about society is so difficult?
The first one is when everyone tells me I need a break. Wow, you really need a break. Or, oh, you could use a vacation. No, well, yeah, I probably could, but who exactly is going to take care of my kid?
Yeah.
So there's that. Because I'm a single mom, everybody automatically assumes that their dad is available, and he's not. No. He's not around. So, like, you lose a lot of options. So I don't get like weekends off or sick days or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, People say things like, I don't know how you do it, or got my worst that just I can't even. People will say like God only gives you what you can handle. Like that is the biggest load of bull crap I've ever heard in my life. Because that is not true. Obviously, like if we could handle everything, we would never ask for help. We would never grow in any way. And so when people say, oh, he only gives you what you can handle as I'm juggling 9 things, that's not gonna, no. Because it's like I have to have a bowl. I no longer have a plate where things are overflowing on it. I have a bowl because everything would fall off the edges because there's just too much.
Right.
But what people, their intention is like thinking that, you know, we know that Heavenly Father or God or whoever you believe in, you know, he obviously trusts you with, no, he doesn't trust me. This was an accident. It happened. It's, you know, anomaly of what happened. But people then will, when they say, or they say things like, oh, let me know if you need anything. Yeah, don't say that. Just pick something.
That's not with special needs, but that's something that I value with Brandon, with my husband. It's like, see a need, fill a need. Just do it. Don't ask, just do. So what are some things that you wish people would just see and help you with?
Well, one of the big ones is like, well, one, I suck at housekeeping anyway, but I am a single mom. I am in a master's program. And right now I am the full caregiver of a kid who's 15. Yeah. So if he wants to sit out in the front room, he wants somebody to be with him. He wants somebody to sit there. Well, I don't have time to just sit there. I'm a mom with another kid. Like it's not just him, but 90% of my attention is on just him. And so to have to sit in the living room for 5-6 hours gets really old really fast, and dishes pile. And I don't get a chance to deep clean my house because they're never gone. And so like one day we went to the hospital, and a friend of mine from my ward had come in, and they had cleaned my entire house other than my bedroom and like my kids' bedrooms. When I got home, it was all clean. And to me, walking into like a cleaned, I didn't care if they put things where it didn't belong. I didn't care. My dishes were done. My bathroom floors were scrubbed. And it took them less than an hour. There was 4 or 5 of them. It took less than an hour, an hour and a half at most. So sometimes just doing or showing up and saying, hey, I'm going to start your laundry and then I'm going to leave and I'm going to be back in an hour. And that to me is like, it's just them doing something versus just being like, oh, I don't know how you do it. Well,
so, as a person who doesn't have experience, right away sharing that, it's like, that's something that I could do, but I have like reservations. Like, what if I were to go to somebody and just say, hey, I'm going to come do your dishes, or I'm going to come do your laundry, then I'm wondering, am I cryptically saying you're incapable, or
so you could preface it. I mean, okay, well, you're having a baby. So if some lady, it's uncomfortable for the person who's getting the service, for one. It's uncomfortable for the person giving the service because it's not your house.
Right.
But if you were overwhelmed with 3 kids sitting on your couch because you're nursing all day or your babies are sick or whatever, and someone knocked on your door and said, hey, I'm so-and-so, or we're friends, like, I've come to do your dishes. Like, I'll be in and out in 20 minutes. Is there anything else you need? But because you're physically there, 90% of the time, that person is so thankful that you're there that we would be like, oh, no, you don't have to. But as a mom, we know that that is the answer that we give because we feel like we have to do everything without feeling like we're weak or not weak. But if someone, like if your mom was to just show up and do it, like how thankful are you that she actually showed up and just did it?
My little Nancy did my dishes the other day and I was like, oh, thank you.
Okay. Exactly. And it's because we as a mom in general have been conditioned never to ask for help, that we can do it by ourselves. And then when someone is there, like I have a cute little family that I just adore. They come and babysit because I have another kid. When I have to do something, they'll come and stay with the boys. But they brought Sunday dinner. It was just hamburgers. That was probably not a big deal to them. But to me, it was like, why am I going to cook a hamburger for kids who won't eat it?
Fair enough. You've got picky.
So, yeah, they're both of them are very picky because Tyler's picky. That's made it so Grayson's picky because Tyler will only eat what Tyler wants to eat.
Okay.
And then as a single mom, I'm not going to make a big old pan of lasagna for not one person who's going to eat it.
Right.
Why would I do that?
But you still like to eat those things, so it would be great for other people to be willing to bring them to you.
Exactly. And when Tyler had his surgery, that was the most helpful for me, was just someone bringing a normal meal. Like we've been stuck in the house since February here. Yeah. Not just March and April like everyone else, February. So, you know, for someone to drop by a chicken breast and some salad is like a huge deal because that's not happening here.
That's very attainable things or very doable things for people in my position, and it helps give direction. It's just, I would say that it's not that people don't want to help. It's very uncomfortable going and doing the service because you don't want to make the mom or the dad or the caregiver feel inadequate or whatever, when in reality it's probably a check-in for both sides. It's like, if you are feeling triggered by that, what internally for yourself is triggering.
Yeah. And plus, if someone was to show up to my door and say, hey, I'm here to help clean the kitchen today, normally I know that person. And that as a mom, just a mom in general, it makes me feel better that I have a friend who understands that there's a need and that need needs to be taken care of. So, you know, I think that helps everybody, is because sometimes like a lot of special needs moms don't have friends. I mean, I have friends, don't get me wrong, I do, but not friends who I can't go out every weekend. And my kids are at weird ages. I have a 9-year-old and a 15-year-old. You don't do play dates anymore.
Right.
You know, it's like everybody has their own life when they get that old. And so there isn't that. And we've had to be excluded a lot from activities.
Right.
Just as a mom in general, just, you know, you don't get to go out every weekend. And then add a single mom to it, you don't get to go out with a girls' night, because I would have to find a sitter, and I'd have to find a sitter willing to take care of both of them and not just one of them. And so that makes it harder sometimes too. But, you know, it's like, keep in contact with those people who have kids with special needs. Like, they need friends too. And that is something anyone can do by just sending a message.
Okay. That's good.
And if you have little ones and you know people who have like an autistic kid or a kid like Tyler, invite them to do things, because 90% of the time, like if you're going to the aquarium or you're going to the zoo, they can do that too. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask them if they want to go, because as a mom, I know our limits, and I would easily be able to say, okay, we can't do the trampoline park, but Tyler really likes this place. Do you want to go bowling? So just to be aware that, like, no, we can't always do everything the same, but I can guarantee you he can kick your pants in bowling. You know? And we've adapted. I've adapted for Tyler his entire life.
Yes.
Something that somebody wants to do, I can usually adapt it to what we need. Okay. And if you're lucky, there are times like when we go to the zoo, like, okay, my sisters probably really like it. When we were little, Tammy's kids sat on the front seat of the circus almost every time we went. So like things like that, like because Tyler's legally blind, he gets accommodations to things. And so we're on the floor at Disney on Ice all the time. Or like we get invited to basketball games and like football games. I've not missed a Fiesta Bowl in years.
Oh, wow.
So we get tickets for things like that. And because he's legally blind, we're on the bottom floor because he can't see.
So really nice perks.
So sometimes, and Disneyland, same thing. We get front of the line. It's cool, whatever. So sometimes it's like, if we're going to go, we'll invite you to come with us. And there's sometimes some perks. Like at the zoo when we went as a family last summer, we got to go up close and personal with the giraffes that other people didn't get to, because I personally am willing to ask for accommodations so that Tyler enjoys it.
Wow.
So
that's
sometimes
awesome. 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 I appreciate your time. So what I take away from this for the don'ts for moms without kids with special needs or that don't understand special needs very well, don't say you look like you need a break or you need a vacation or
God
step
only
in.
gives you what you can handle. Yeah,
God
don't.
only gives you what you can handle. Just step in, meet a need, fill a need, and just do something, even if it's uncomfortable. Because it's going to be
Yes.
uncomfortable for the receiver as well as the giver.
Yes.
And when we can just come to a place of helping each other, then I think it's more open.
And I think that if you also understand that just because Tyler has a disability, he's not stupid. And he can read people and he listens to things like that I'm saying if I'm talking to my mom on the phone, or he listens to things and he has feelings too.
Right.
And that sometimes can be harder. And so just to understand that our kids are that way too.
So can I run a scenario by you that probably triggered me wanting to do this? A few weeks ago, Brandon and I, your 25 minutes. Are they going to want you back?
No, they're good.
Okay. So me and the kids were at a splash pad and there was a little boy who his legs were not
working.
He was in a wheelchair and he was like mobile like no other kid, whipping around in his wheelchair like crazy. He could get in and out of his wheelchair by himself and he would just use his arms to move all throughout the splash pad, and he was doing laps around people. Like he was having the time of his life. But everybody there, all the kids, were all coming from a place of concern that I feel like was unnecessary. Like, do you need help, or can we do anything to help you? And the little boy was just like, nope, I don't need help. I'm fine. And I wanted to go to the mom and ask these questions to her. Do you feel like that would be appropriate? If I, as a mom, had gone and asked her what she hates about society in our understanding of his disability and what she would like to, how she would like to advocate and how I could support her in advocating for her kid?
Yeah, like 90% of the time, everyone just stares at us and tells their kids not to stare.
Yeah.
When reality is like, we obviously know that we are different than everyone else. And we actually add an additional difference because Tyler's worker is she's an African, she's Black. And so add that to like all of everything. We just like scream, look at us.
Yeah.
And she's a girl. So and who knows if we go to the movies together, I have no idea what people think. Like, do they think she's my girlfriend? I don't know. I don't care because I don't have enough hands to do everything. So I really don't care what you think. Right. But if someone was to come up and be like, oh, hi, how are you? And talk to Tyler, one, he will talk to you and he's polite and he's, whatever. And then just say, hey, mom, like, can I ask some questions? Like, none of us are ever offended that someone wants to know about our kid versus someone who's just going to take their kids, like, don't stare. Who cares if you stare? We're in a wheelchair. But then say, talk to my kid, like another kid that would be walking by. How are you doing? Like, is everything, how did you learn to do that? Or something that, it's like, if you admire that he's moving so fast, say that, like, how did you learn to move so fast? And I mean, when kids look different than other people, it's already obvious. Don't get mad at kids for looking at them.
Okay.
But then teach them that they're just exactly like everybody else. If they're throwing a fit and they're 14 and having a meltdown, like, don't stare and ask the mom, do you need any help with anything? I am not ever offended if my kid is throwing a fit, or even just reassure the mom where it's like, I've totally been there. Like, just talk to the mom like you would a friend and just be like, I'm Bryn. How are you? Like, is that your kiddo? Like, can I ask what his disability is? Like, most parents don't care. We'd rather you ask than treat us like we don't exist, because that's what most people would do, is just treat us like they don't see us. We're invisible.
That's the most comfortable thing to do, because even as you're talking right now, like, I can sense in myself, like, there is discomfort in that, because that's not an easy thing to do. That is not what Emory County trained me to do.
Yeah.
When there's disability. Like, I have no concept
diversity.
of that.
Emory County didn't really treat diversity at all.
Correct.
We were all the same. With their 99% of us were white.
Amen to
Most of
that.
us were middle class. Most of us had nothing wrong with us,
Right.
but the outside world doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so learning and being polite and being kind, Emory County did teach us a little bit, not a lot at this point, seeing what I see on some social media. They didn't teach, at least most of us were taught to be kind.
I think that was something that was instilled in us. But what does kind look like when people don't look the same as you? When people don't look the same as you?
Yeah.
That's totally new.
It's a foreign concept for a lot. And I think, in general, if you ever saw, like, we went as a family, including my brother who has 6 kids, which one by itself is a lot, but half of them are Black. And then you have my other sister her kid is brown. And then my kids, one's in a wheelchair. So, in general, like, as a large group, we were like a hot mess express trying to travel through the zoo. Like, there was like every rainbow, because my kids are also, like, we're from Arizona, but my children are the palest white kids you've ever met. And so you add that next to my brother's Black kids, and you've got, we were just asking to be stared at.
Yeah.
But my kid was having the time of his life looking at things that he couldn't really see, but he pretended, and he had the best time. The kids like Tyler think that everything is amazing. For him, every day is amazing. He wakes up and, oh, I slept amazing. How are you, Mom? I love you. Today is the best day ever, is what I get 99% of the time, because that's what he feels. And so I think sometimes that if we sat back and watched how thankful they are for everything, that we would be able to in turn live that way.
Yeah.
And in no way am I kind all the time, or even some of the time sometimes, but he makes it easy to be kind.
Okay.
So I think that is the biggest, is like, they're just like everyone else. They're trapped in a body that doesn't work like ours and doesn't function like everyone wants it to. And sometimes they just need somebody to be their friend. And as a mom, even as a regular mom, I just want my kids to be accepted, and I just need the friendship and the willingness for someone to do something. Not just say it in words, because words are crap, no offense.
True.
Yeah, even as a mom, like, how many times do you guys hear, oh, you have your hands full, but not one person wants to take one of those things off your hands, and you want to walk away and give them the bird and be like, yeah, I know.
Like, my favorite, I remember one day walking out of Moab, Maverick, and I've got a soda in one hand and I'm holding 2 kids on both my hips, and Sonny's just like, oh, you have your hands full. I was like, no crap.
And you're thinking, really? Would you like to carry my soda or one of my children? Like,
that's like a
perfect example. Exactly.
Okay.
And when people say, like, oh, you're a single mom, you don't have help from dad, and you're a grad student, boy, you have a lot on your plate. How do you do everything? I don't. So my bathroom has not been cleaned. So that's how I skip over my bathroom. I have not done laundry in a week. I have not showered yet. But it's those things. I don't, but something gets left in the dark.
I think that moms with no special needs to understand that too. It's like, you don't have to do it all. All of it doesn't have to happen. Let things go by the wayside. Do the most important things.
Right. And the most important is that my kids are healthy.
Right.
They're not dead. So at the end of the day, if nobody died, I have succeeded.
Yeah.
But if they're happy, healthy, and safe, that is my concern every single day. And if I meet all of those, that means they didn't die last night. So we're in good shape. And then if we make it and I clean the bathroom, or I do the laundry, or I do the dishes, then I've succeeded. And then if they had 3 meals, I've like exceeded every expectation that I could ever have. If they only eat 2, I hope that wasn't my expectation. So I feed them when they're hungry. They go to bed. 2 days ago, I went to bed before they both did. 9 o'clock, I was like, well, I'm out. See you guys in the morning. And I went to bed. They watched I have no idea what time they went to bed. I don't care.
Okay.
Because at some point, it's the best you can do.
I agree with that. I love it. Okay, well, thank you everybody for your time. Thank you, Nancy, for doing this. If you have questions for Nancy or things that you might have questions about, or if you are experiencing discomfort like I was, knowing that like there's more that I could do, but it's uncomfortable to step out and do it, I would love to hear that in the comments.
Yeah, and I'll answer anything.
And Nancy is a very open book. So if you want to share anything, thank you. And if you even have a child with disabilities that are similar to Nancy's, I'd love to hear how you are handling these, or how what Nancy may have said resonated with you. Very interesting stuff. So,
Thanks,
all
Gwen.
right. Thank you.